Have you ever felt nervous or excited? Felt your heart racing, pounding right before a big exam or a test or in front of a group of people? Anxiety. Anxiety is a normal part of our lives, but when it comes to disorder is when it starts interfering with our lives. People with anxiety disorders, their symptoms can get worse with time. They don't go away. So what is the definition of anxiety? Anxiety can be defined as a feeling of uncontrollable fear and panic caused by a chemical imbalance of serotonin in our brains, which triggers our flight or fight sensations in our body to release adrenaline. What are some of the symptoms of anxiety? Well, anxiety symptoms would include uncontrollable thoughts, racing thoughts, numbness, tingling sensation throughout our hands, feet, and arms, pins and needles, chest pains, tightness or fullness, headaches, ringing in our ears, fear of impending doom, fatigue, restlessness or sweating, insomnia, nausea or gastrointestinal dysfunctions such as like IBS, poor concentration, and tremors and muscle tension. What are some of the types of anxiety? Well, there's general anxiety disorder, a constant presence of excess anxiety, worrying about activities or everyday little things that overwhelm us. Panic attacks. Panic attacks are most commonly in most people. Panic attacks, people think that they're having a heart attack when they're really having a panic attack. Panic attack is a sudden oncoming symptoms and fear that is so intense that you feel that you are having a heart attack. These symptoms are more on the lines of the chest pains, your numbness in your jaws, your arms feeling like they're on fire, pains, pins and needles, constant sweating, nausea, vomiting, feeling like you're going to faint, shortness of breath. There's post-traumatic stress disorder. Post-traumatic stress disorder is becoming more and more of a mainstream topic with our military servicemen. This is an event that happens in your life. Example, a passing of a loved one, a serious reaction to medication, a traumatic event triggers this. What it is a flashback of that event that keeps repeatedly playing over and over and over in your head. This causes stress in the body and causes you to have anxiety and panic attacks. You feel completely helpless when these attacks happen. There's obsessive compulsive disorder. Obsessive compulsive disorder is classified as having obsessive behavior characteristics. Something has to be lined a certain way. You're obsessing over a thought or an idea. You can't stop yourself from worrying about these thoughts and ideas. They have to be done. People with obsessive compulsive disorder tend to count as they're walking. They have their desk organized in a certain way. They're always constantly cleaning something because they're afraid that they're going to miss something. Social anxiety. Social anxiety is a fear of public spaces. Fear of the public, fear of being around people in general. This causes such intense fear that you go into a full-fledged panic attack. And last but not least, phobias. Phobias, think about it this way. A phobia would be a fear of heights, fear of snakes, fear of flying. These are phobias. Phobias can bring on another form of panic attacks where you can't control yourself. Your thoughts are racing, your heart is pounding, you're sweating, you're shaking. Those are all phobias that can be characteristic to that. Risk factors for anxiety. Family history. Family history of anxiety. Parents, grandparents might run it on both sides of the family. You're at a higher risk if you have that. prolonged exposure to stressful events, stressful jobs, not relaxing, working 2 jobs would be a stressful event, not coming home and having time for downtime for you. Stressing your body to the point where it breaks. Excessive use of caffeine and nicotine. This can bring on anxiety and panic attacks later on in your life. Treatment option for anxiety. Psychotherapy, which is also known as talk therapy. You meet with a psychiatrist, you discuss what's going on, what your cause is, you try to find an underlying issue and try to treat it. Cognitive behavioral therapy. Pretty similar to talk therapy, but cognitive behavioral therapy teaches you a different way of thinking of things. Instead of, example, public speaking. Some people have a phobia of public speaking, so you would look at it this way. I can't do this public speech, and you keep beating yourself down and down. What cognitive behavioral therapy teaches you to do is recognize that fear and build up self-confidence that you can do this. I can do this public speech. I can do this situation. I can overcome this obstacle. By training your mind to think differently towards that. Self-help support groups. Pretty much works the same way as Alcoholics Anonymous. So with social media, Facebook, Twitter, there's support groups out there that you can reach out to, form video conferencing with people that go through the same thing and discuss this. There's also places that do offer support groups where you can meet on a weekly or daily basis, discuss your issues, and be around people that go through this and get support from one another. And then there's medication. Medication comes in different forms. There's many different forms of medications. There's SSRIs, or antidepressants, benzodiazepines, are the 2 most popular anxiety meds. So what are SSRIs? SSRIs are selective serotonin re-up inhibitors. How do they work? They work on your serotonin levels in your brain. They increase the serotonin, and which increases the feel-good sensation. Some of the drawbacks with antidepressants are nausea, vomiting, manic depressive states, thoughts of suicide are common with antidepressant because it does affect your serotonin in your brain and also your neurotransmitters. Anti-anxiety medication, which is known as benzodiazepines. Benzodiazepines is basically a tranquilizer. They use these for fast-acting anxiety medications to help calm you when you're having a panic attack or an anxiety attack. Benzodiazepine works on your nervous system. It calms your nerves down, takes the edge away from the fear. Drawbacks to benzodiazepines. They're very highly addictive in some people. They make you very drowsy. Nausea. And if you stop suddenly on them, they can cause severe withdrawal symptoms. Some of the examples of benzodiazepines would be Ativan, Xanax, and Valium. Anxiety is always going to be a part of our lives. It's a normal feeling to have anxiety. But when anxiety becomes a disorder is when it starts affecting our abilities to function as a human being day in and day out. The goal of any type of treatment option is to bring your anxiety levels back down to where they used to be.